We had hoped when the Guardians signed Matthew Boyd in 2024, he'd be found money. And he was so good, he found money, $29 million exactly, from the Chicago Cubs. He is not going to be coming back to Cleveland. We're going to talk about Guardians starting pitching in 2024 and how in the world they're going to fix it in 2025.
Tanner Bibee of the Guardians, and you're listening to Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
The pitching factory done broke, but we are not broke here on Locked On Guardians. Thank you all for joining us today. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase.
Speak for yourself. I still feel broken. I haven't recovered from Saturn. I haven't recovered from the holiday. I'm sick and I'm broken. I saw someone in the comments said they were not surprised I took the day off after the Buckeyes lost on Saturday.
I saw that one too.
I wish I would have been back with you yesterday because I needed anything to take my mind off that. But sadly, I'm still dealing with a sinus infection. But
those are the worst.
The worst. But as our old buddy told us, Lindsay told us that, Jordan did his best work in his flu game, his quote unquote flu game. So hopefully I can do my best work here with you today, Jeff. We're going to talk about starting pitching today. We're going to talk about what went wrong. How do they fix it? We'll talk about some pitching prospects, if that's a thing that exists. And we're going to talk about why the Guardians need to sign Tanner Bibee, why they need to pay him some money. So, Jeff, the first thing we should look at, I think, is this a blip in the pitching factory? Or is this a troubling trend? Because I was going back and look at the numbers over the last couple of years. The Guardians starting pitching has finished middle of the pack, if not lower, every year since 2021. 2021 was not a great year. Obviously, 2022 was great. 2023 was solid. That's because they got some of the rookies up. And 2024 was obviously Drek. So this kind of feels like a trend and not necessarily a blip in the pitching factor. I kind of wonder if, there's only so many guys you can develop. There's only so many guys you're going to have a success rate on. And there's only so many, we talked about this before, brain drain, right? You lose so much mental talent to develop pitching that you can't turn out guys the way you used to.
I also think one of the things to talk about at some point is they haven't really spent a lot of high picks on college pitchers that have been healthy. And that's the thing that kind of hurts, right? Like Justin Campbell, like maybe he should have been the answer. Parker Messick, they slow played him a little. They've spent a lot of high value, not necessarily slots, but a lot of high value money and or positions. Like on yesterday's show, I was kind of talking about how the Jackson Humphreys and Jacob Zibin were like these big money guys we kind of forgot about in some regards because of, it hasn't gone well for them. And the issue is like, yeah, they traded away all their big prep guys from the 23 class. They took a ton of them in the 24 class, but this organization is, to quote my students, dog water at developing high school players. I mean, I made the comment on the show, since CC Sabathia, is Triston McKenzie the best prep pitcher they've developed? And is Sam Hench's number 2?
Yeah, it is. He really is.
They're investing a lot. Because, I mean, Zibin, they paid him like a second-round pick. They paid Humphreys well over slot as well. Like, they're giving a lot of money to the high school kids, and they've not been good at it. Like, it's like, here, take my money. And they don't have much to show for it. Now, like, part of that's injuries. That draft class definitely feels a little spooked. I believe that was the Campbell class. Yeah, I feel like that's the Campbell class, but as well with those two, I could be wrong. But, yeah, I think some of this, too, is health, but it's also like, the definition of insanity, right? Like keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. And we talked about why they might be drafting college pitching or high school pitching, that they maintain some of that trade value. And then they used it last year in that way. So we'll have to see, but they can't develop high school arms like to save their life yet. That's what half of the top 15 prospects are.
I mean, you can argue that college arms are an issue for them too, outside of Tanner Bibee. Like, let's start with Gavin Williams and Logan Allen. Like for Logan Allen, you and I were both super high on him coming out of the draft.
Yep.
And he had
Tanner Burns, who was their first round pick.
I've completely forgot about Tanner Burns because Tanner Burns is unfortunately as a pitcher sort of made himself forgettable. I hate to say that, but I had a lot of people when I remember watching that draft. Not a lot of people tell me, oh, he's so there's just no excitement to Tanner Burns. Like you kind of know what he is. There's really no upside. And I remember watching him with Lake County in 2021 after the maybe I was just blinded by the fact that we had lost minor league baseball the year before, and I was excited to have it back in any form in 2021. He looked great, but you're also talking about an SEC pitcher who dominated in the SEC. And then
could not maintain.
Could not maintain. But here's the thing: I know Burns wasn't a first round pick, but he was a comp pick. If you're a first round pick of the Guardians, you're going to get injured. That's pretty much what it is. Like Espino, DeLauder, Gavin Williams.
Well, all of those guys had tricky medical histories too.
Yeah, exactly. So if the Guardians are taking you in the first round, you are going to get injured. Like Bo Naylor,
Carson Tucker had no heart.
First round pick.
Born without one. I'm kidding. I'm teasing.
So, like, I was looking at Logan Allen's numbers from last year. I was thinking, okay, what happened here? And I kind of feel like we should have come into 2024 expecting some regression because if you look at a lot of the data in 2023, it was not great. He overperformed it. The only thing he had going for him in 2023 was that changeup. And like the only thing I can look at is he didn't throw enough strikes. Obviously, we know that. And the changeup was the only pitch that he had any success with in 2024, and it was bad. Like 2023, the only pitch that he was really good was the changeup. It was bad in 2024. He relied on the fastball more, which he shouldn't do because it's a bad fastball. We know that. But all of his pitch mixes were decreased. He decreased the sweeper. He decreased the changeup. He increased the cutter, but he didn't throw the cutter that much.
If you're a lefty with a bad fastball, the Cleveland Guardians will draft you.
They love you. Yes, they are going to send you a Christmas card right now. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know where you go because here's the problem with Logan Allen, and this is the same for Triston McKenzie too. And I want to get to Gavin Williams, but Logan Allen and Triston McKenzie both went to AAA, and neither of them got better. Like they both went to AAA and didn't fix things. And maybe they were trying to do like an overhaul, like a Foster Carmona type thing. Remember where they sent him down? Yeah. It was just complete rebuild. I don't know if that was going on necessarily, but neither of them got better in AAA. And for all of McKenzie's stuff we talked about coming into the year, right? Like it was was he going to be healthy? He was healthy all year. His velocity maintained. He just couldn't throw strikes. McKenzie, I could point out a couple of things of where it went wrong. With Logan Allen, all I can point to is he didn't do as well in 2023 as we thought, and we should have probably. Is Logan Allen Jeremy Sowers?
I'll say the other side of it is, I think back to
like that comment.
No, I mean, I was having the same thoughts. It's not like, but I'll say what gave me a little more confidence in him heading in the year was the whole, Saros piece about how guys with less stuff plus can get by when they're lefties with it's like that whole article gave me a lot of faith. I even tweeted it, Saros like, hey, what about Logan Allen? He's like, yeah, no, he fits. So like, there was this hope that like, there is a type of pitcher who succeeds in spite of their data, and it's Logan Allen. Like it is those guys who have that changeup, who can kind of get away with it, who are good athletes. And I mean, I think the killer for me is, the other way Logan Allen and Triston McKenzie are similar is both very good athletes. And in both cases, with McKenzie being a high school kid and Logan Allen was a two-way guy in college, you hoped with Logan Allen focusing only on pitching. You hope Triston McKenzie, adding some, he was
training,
some weight, he was, I believe when they drafted him, he was 6'5", fit, and then 65 pounds. They were the same weight and height. I'm kidding. But either way, it's like and the problem is you draft those guys, and this is an org known for adding a little more umph. Neither guy added umph. Like you were, I think, hoping in both cases that both these guys, one being a two-way guy, and a small school two-way guy, FIU, right? It's like it's a good program. It's not one that puts a guy high into the draft even every 5 years. Like it's not that type of program. So it's small school guy, big name out of high school, two-way. You expected more to be added to it. He has had a history in the minors of struggles. Like we've kind of maybe been a little too forgiving with Logan Allen at points. And I do have concerns that he might just top out as slightly better than previous Logan Allen.
Oof. The thing with Allen in AAA before, and this is why it was concerning he didn't get any better in AAA, was that I had talked to James Harris back in November, and I dropped that piece over on my Substack on Next Year in Cleveland. Finally got that out today, or yesterday, I should say. But he did admit, like, they thought the adjustment to AAA was the ball. I thought it was mental. But then they saw Allen, they saw Nikhazy and Walters. All their guys have a hard time adjusting to the AAA ball because I don't know why this is, but he confirmed that the balls that you use from
they got slick balls, right?
Complex to AA is not the same as the Major League and AAA ball. Why? There's a good question. You took a shovel to Major League Baseball on Monday in your show. Here's another question to ask: why is Major League Baseball not using the same baseball for all the same levels? Why is the baseball different at AAA and the majors than it is AA and below? Do you think I know the ball in the college for football is different than the NFL ball? I don't know about the basketball. Like, it's so confusing to me why that's the case though. But college is, quote unquote amateur. It's hard to say amateur these days, but they're quote unquote amateur. So I guess there's a reason for it to be different. Whereas Major League Baseball is responsible for all the minor leagues now. Why are they using different balls? I don't know. Let's talk about Gavin Williams in just a second, and then we'll get into a couple other guys. We'll talk about if we're buying Joey Cantillo's late season success. We'll mention Ben Lively, the king of options, and then we'll talk some pitching prospects if there is such a thing. So stick around for all that on a Tuesday edition of Locked On Guardians. Came back today just to read this ad. So I did go to the Cavs game on Wednesday, the night before Thanksgiving, and they lost. So, it's all my fault that I was there. But I was there thanks to Gametime. I bought those tickets through Gametime because they filter out the fluff and they show you the best deals on great seats. So you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. We had great seats. We were in the upper deck, but we were in like the third row. We had aisle seats. And actually, we ran into some Locked On Guardians fans. We were celebrating something the Cavs did before they started losing. And a couple of the guys in the row in front of us turned around and were like, whoa, you're from Locked On Guardians. So shout out to those guys in front of us. That was super cool. I hope they were there with Gametime picks as well, because that's the best way to buy tickets. And the holiday season, my wife and I like to get each other tickets to events. We love doing event type Christmas presents. I'm going to use Gametime to get some comedy tickets. I'm going to use Gametime to get some concert tickets because they take the guesswork out of buying tickets. You download the app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDON. It'll be to get $20 off your first purchase. Great time for the holiday season for a gift. Terms apply. Create an account. Redeem code LOCKEDONMLB to get $20 off your first purchase while you're buying Christmas gifts. That's great. Money back. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It's game time. All right. We kind of covered Triston McKenzie. I'll mention one more thing on McKenzie. But as far as Gavin Williams, I think the question here is this. Was it really just all injury related this year? Because the fastball got hit hard, and they claimed, okay, well, he was tipping his fastball. He shelved the slider out of, I don't know if it was injury concerns or whatever. And then he said, well, I'm throwing a cutter and I'm throwing a slider, and the Savant wasn't like picking up the right, designation. They couldn't differentiate between the two. The changeup for Gavin Williams just might as well not exist. He might as well not have a changeup. It's terrible. And the curveball is still a really fantastic pitch for him, just like Triston McKenzie. I want to believe that everything that happened to Gavin Williams this year was all injury related, because we've seen it before. Guys who get hurt in spring training, they're like spinning their wheels all year. They're trying to catch up to everything they missed, and it feels like they never really get on solid footing. So I want to believe that all of his problems in 2024 were all because he just had and then he had some soreness coming back, right? So like, I want to believe it was all injury related and he's going to be fine in 2025, but I don't know that for sure. And I hope to God he's better, because remember, we also have a short time with Gavin Williams. He is a Scott Boras client, and we know that by the time ARB 2 comes around, Gavin Williams will be playing for a different team. So I hope to God he's better in 2025. That's the only way. That's one of the biggest ways this gets fixed, is if Gavin Williams, one of those first round college arms they took. And I know he had injury concerns in college, but it wasn't arm related.
Back.
Right.
It's back. The one thing I'll say is I don't think it is injury, because when you look at the data, it's like, his hard hit was up. That's one of the things that was up. His K percentage was almost identical. His walk percentage, his expected slugging, was almost identical year to year. The EVs are similar. He was a very similar pitcher. It just was, guys got to see more of him. and they teed off a little bit more, and he wasn't using, for whatever reason, he decided to shelve probably his second best pitch, and it was that slider. And his four-seam fastball, the year before was an 8-run, and his slider was an 8-run positive value on Savant. The 4-seam was a -1. Really have to dig in the metrics and see what went wrong to see if maybe there was some, degree, but his not having that slider to set up the fastball just seemed to be like, if he is afraid to use that slider, just like we saw, at points Bieber afraid to use the curveball, right? It's like, I don't think he's going to be as effective of a pitcher. I think you're looking at a guy. And also, just a side note on him too, like, how often, like, is the guy who is the story of spring training go on to have a terrible year? Like, I think back to Cody Anderson. Remember when Cody Anderson already threw hard and then showed up and was like,
don't remind me.
He added all those miles per hour, and people were like, oh, Cody Anderson's going to be special. Listen, I was one of the first people to the Featherstone Junior College product. I was one of the early adopters on Cody Anderson, so I can't really take shots. But I feel like there's a bad history because, like, we're like, oh, Gavin Williams is leveling up in training camp. Like, people were talking about it, that he was, and this is, again, your reminder early and often that spring training is completely worthless, and don't take anything from it.
I love spring training. How dare you?
You can enjoy it. Just don't treat it like a data point. That's all I'm saying. Have fun with it. If it is for you, then enjoy it. I'm not going to yuck your yum. It's not for me, but don't use it as a data point. But I think, like, a lot of the data on Gavin Williams, I'm go back and forth on which way to use that word, is very similar to the last 2 years. I think if he doesn't, like I said, it all hinges on that slider. That slider was a fantastic pitch. If he doesn't have that, I felt like that slider set up the fastball and made everything work. Without it, he's just not much.
The cutter was good this year. He added that cutter, again,
not as good as the slider though.
No, it's not as good as the slider was in 2023, but the cutter's good. And the curveball was fantastic this year too, in terms of expected results against it. And it had a pretty good whiff rate. So, like, that's still a good 2-pitch mix and makes you kind of wonder if he's a reliever, but that's money they spent in the first round on him too, and he fell on other guys' boards. And it's like, developing college pitching is supposed to be their thing. And, like, Zach Plesac was such a blip. That was that was part of the factory, right? It was like, they made a tweet for Corey Kluber and he became something. They had to wait years for Carlos Carrasco to be a thing. Mm-hmm. Danny Salazar was a blip on the radar too, because we knew he was on borrowed time. Trevor Bauer, I think, was Trevor Bauer. And, like, Josh Tomlin was a good vibe. That's great. But then, like, Zach Plesac was, like, good for, 60 games in 2020, and that was it. And after that, Aaron Savali, they made good use with, but, like, these are small cases when you think about it in the big picture. Yeah. These are small cases.
And it's also the guys, they're better at helping guys level up. Like, Williams already had pretty good stuff. It's not... That's not their traditional guy. It's the Savali. It's the Bibees.
Do you want to consider Joey Cantillo part of the high school thing too? Because technically he was a high school product.
He was already 2 years out when they got him, though. I mean, he was
2020. So he was it was 2 years in. Here's the thing with Triston McKenzie, real quick, before we get to some other guys. Triston McKenzie, I hate to say this because I hate the saying. I hate because it sounds worse than it is. I think it's 100% mental with him. I do, because
I do as well.
In 2022, when he was fantastic, when he was like everyone's like dark horse Cy Young guy, his first pitch strike percentage was 62%. MLB average is like 61. And then last year it was 52%. And the year before that it was 54. When he throws a first pitch strike 60% of the time, he can be a good pitcher. He just can't throw enough strikes. And it's like, the fastball was horrid because nobody respected it, and the velocity from wanes every year. We've seen that since the minors. The curveball is a fantastic pitch. The slider is a fantastic pitch. He's out of options in 2025, and Cleveland's supposed to be one of these teams that's really good at pitching development and fixing guys. And it's like, if they can't fix a guy like Triston McKenzie or Logan Allen, like. And I don't know, Logan Allen needs fixing so much as maybe we need to readjust our expectations of his ceiling. But if you can't fix guys like McKenzie or whatever, like, they made Ben Lively a viable starter this past year, so I guess that's a win. But like, if you can't develop guys like McKenzie, how good is your pitching development? Pitching development's hard because guys get hurt and the attrition rate's so high, and that's why you take so many some years. But it's like their hit rate hasn't been as good. And I feel like, I don't know, if they can't fix McKenzie, then can anybody? And how good are they at this, really?
I think the other thing with McKenzie that always stands out to me, though, it's like he is, this is going to sound worse than I mean it, so I hope everyone will stick with me. I wouldn't say he's a head case or anything to that degree, but he has had these blips before where he kind of loses it and then has to like completely reset. And I don't know how he does it, but he definitely seems to. I agree. I think there's a confidence issue there, and he is a player who can seem to just fall apart. And that this has been an issue at points in the minors where he needed to kind of come back from health issues, and he didn't come back as strong. And it felt like it took him a little bit while longer. When he was up and down, even in his time in the big leagues, it's been there. And I feel like there just is a confidence issue. I'm with you on that. I don't think it's health as much as it'd be nice in a way if it was health, because you could put your finger on it and say it's health. We just gotta, for him to get healthy and he'll be fine. That's an easier fix. I don't think that's the case here.
Well, we're going to find out because he's out of options next year. So he's either going to make it work or he's going to be looking for new work. And boy, I hate to be the team that loses him and he works out somewhere else. But not often do we see the Guardians move on from a pitcher and get better outside of Tobias Myers. Like that is the rare case where if they leave Cleveland, they don't really get better. Hitters do sometimes, but pitchers not as much.
Yeah,
but
I can't think of
Tobias
anyone
Myers
outside of Myers.
Tobias Myers will look real good here in 2024. Joey Cantillo looked really good for a few starts. Ben Lively is the king of options. And the Guardians need to pay Tanner Bibee. We're going to discuss that next. And if we liked any of the pitching prospects in 2024.
But first, our good friends over at FanDuel. I was saying yesterday when Justin was out, you want to bet on the Cavs because they're going to win a whole bunch of games, and they beat Boston. And then also the Blue Jackets are excelling as well right now. You got two Ohio teams that can win games. And then let's just not talk about football. Let's just not talk about football and winning in the state of Ohio right now. So let's get ready to tackle the NFL action, though, with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. So just visit FanDuel.com today to join. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
All right, very quickly before we get into prospects and other stuff, are you buying the late season run from Joey Cantillo last year? 2024, he had that great start against the White Sox where he had a perfect game. He had a couple other good starts after that. Are you buying that, or was that just an aberration?
Can I buy at 75%? I don't think. I mean, he was downright ace-like for a few of those starts. He was really good. He's been a top 10 guy for both of us for multiple years running now. Like, he has stuff. It's the command is always going to be the issue. I'm sorry, I think that got loud there, so I'm going to apologize to any of our listeners.
I'm really excited about his command.
Yeah, but I mean, that was the crazy thing. Like with the perfect game, it's like the command looked better. And then we saw it come undone in the postseason. And
maybe not his fault.
Yeah, a bit of a hard situation we placed in. A lot of confidence. We know. I mean, from spring training last year, Vogt liked him a lot and had, it was talking about him.
Beware of those spring training storylines.
Yeah, I mean, but then we heard him about hiding Bibee and Williams. There does seem to be like maybe not performance, but manager like is something.
There's the health component for Cantillo too. By the way, this is a guy who's been hurt a lot. He missed 3 months this year with a hamstring issue at the very end of spring training. He's had shoulder issues. He's had oblique issues. Thankfully, no elbow issues. But this is a guy I think has maybe only thrown 100 innings once in his minor league career, if that.
I'd have to look it up.
Okay, so he went over 100 in 2019.
Okay, he did in 2019.
He did in 2019. 2022, he did not. 2023, he did get over 100. 2024, obviously not over 100. So he's been over 100 twice.
Yeah.
since he was drafted in 2016? 2017.
Yeah, he was a long, lanky, young for the class Hawaiian kid. I thought Cleveland would be interested in the draft year, and then they ended up trading for him instead. The stuff is there.
Wasn't he a finesse guy back then too? He was more of a
a
strike thrower versus
the velocity. I mean, he didn't
thrower.
really add the velocity. Even the first year that was after the 2020 season where they didn't add him and there ended up being no Rule 5 because of the strike, or was that 21? I can't remember.
I remember watching his video when they traded for him. And he was like an 88-92.
Yeah, he hadn't really
like a 90-94.
Yeah, he was only like 90-91. That's one of the reasons I think they didn't go out of the way to protect him. He's that developmental success story where he just kept adding velocity every year.
But the health and control, it's excellent.
It's counting on him. Like, can you count on this guy? I don't know, and that's what it all comes down to, I guess, on a lot of levels. Is like, I would love to sit back and be like, yeah, totally. This is a guy who is going to go out there and be a solid, a sixth arm in case someone gets hurt, who you can count on. But I just don't know how you can, you can, expect
28 starts.
Yeah,
I don't know. Which all of this is to say is that the Guardians need to pony up and pay Tanner Bibee his worth, because he is the one guy you can count on. He is the one guy you know what you're getting from. He's been healthy. He doesn't have the track record. He has the track record of health. He has the mentality. He shows up. He wants the ball. He works to get better. He's predictable. Is he an ace? Maybe not. Maybe not an ace. If you're expecting Corey Kluber, I don't know if you're going to get Corey Kluber, but I think Tanner Bibee can be your number one in a rotation that's got more teeth behind him, which they just don't have. But they don't have guys in the minors right now that we feel confident projecting. I know, Shane Bieber and Tanner Bibee weren't really on our radars the way, Corey Kluber wasn't either. These things happen late. I was just reviewing my prospect list from a while ago from 2022, and I didn't even have Tanner on my list until midway through the season. And Shane Bieber I had a lot higher later too, but he was a good developmental story too. There's nobody in the system right now that looks like that. And, maybe there's Austin Peterson, who we'll talk about here in a second, but like, you don't have a lot of options. You don't have a lot of certainty. Pay for the certainty. Like, this is a guy you can count on. I think he's going to age well. You got 4 more years with him, right? So you buy him into his age 32 year. He's 25. He'll be 26 all of 2025. Buy him into his age 32 season, or after his age 31 season. I was looking at the Blake Snell contract from a couple of years ago, and he was 26. 5 years, $50 million. I think you can get him for 5 years, $50 million.
And even what was Brian Bellows' contract a year ago? Like
Brian Bello was $655, but Brian Bello was 24. He was 2 years younger than Tanner's going to be.
I say give him $655 and see if he does that.
I would too do it. And here's the reason why. The Guardians don't spend in free agency, and we both know spending in free agency, unless you're buying Juan Soto's and Aaron Judge's and whoever else, unless you're buying at the front end, it's not a great move. Like the Josh Bells, the Michael Bournes, the Nick Swishers, the Mike Saninos, those fail Cleveland. What Cleveland does well is get guys extended. Spend your money on extensions. And I know the Miles Straw one, not a great one. Andres Jimenez, not looking great right now. I think Tanner Bibee is one you can comfortably predict and say, give the man his money. It's going to be fine, because you're not going into the market and signing Matthew Boyds. And God only knows if they're going to sign Shane Bieber and what that's going to get them.
But don't you have to say it like the movie? Give the man. I'm not going to say it.
Yeah.
No, I'll
show me the money. Jerry Maguire. Yeah, show me the money. And Tanner Bibee is going to get more than that in the open market if he gets the free agency. Like, that's going to be an underslot deal really at this point. So
and it goes to one thing I talked about on my solo show from last week, which is like part of the problem with not paying these guys is then the opportunity cost isn't just that you have to replace them. It's that you have to find out if the players you have can replace them. And then you're giving at bats or innings to guys who may not be good because you have to test them out. And, it's kind of a double whammy. And if you got a guy who it feels like is, he was not a big bonus guy. He is not, had a big payday. He's doing fine.
He
but
took
I feel
less
like
to sign with the Guardians. He took
he
less in the draft.
And I feel like he would, if they came at him with a real offer, I feel like he would take it. But it's up to the Guardians to make a real offer.
Yeah, and you have to buy yourself certainty here with pitching.
Yes.
You have to. You have that guy
certainty
at the top of the rotation in Tanner, where if you get him to his age 31 or 32 season, you know what you're kind of getting. Will he get hurt along the way? Maybe, because pitchers just get hurt. But you don't have anybody coming in the system like right now that you do like you had in the past. Like we thought Logan Allen and Gavin Williams were going to be part of the group that was the answer too, and now we're kind of wondering what they're going to look like in 2025, which again all begs the question that you don't have anybody else even like that in the system, and now you can't even count on 2 of the 3 guys he was drafted with, and let alone Doug Nikhazy and all the other guys they took. Like he's the one guy that it worked out with. You gotta lock that one up.
Lock it up.
Yeah. So Matthew Boyd's off the board. Is it Shane Bieber or bust for them this offseason?
No,
like are we
because I've never thought they had any chance of keeping Bieber. That's my view.
So is it trade or bust? Like
no,
some of the guys we talked about were.
I would not be shocked. They love those older arms. Like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if they went after a Jose Quintana. I would not be shocked. Like they're gonna, Trevor Williams. They're gonna kind of sit back and see who's left. I wouldn't be shocked by Spencer Turnbull had some good data. And, maybe they feel like, hey, there's more meat on that bone and they can work stuff out. Kyle Gibson wasn't terrible. Maybe they try to chase John Means. Who knows what his value is?
How healthy is he? I don't even remember. Yeah. All
right, and then I don't know, maybe I don't think they could afford him anyways, but it isn't, I guess the new now is to try to sign relievers and turn them into starters, like what happened with Hicks.
Clay Holmes.
Yeah, Hicks and now they're saying Clay Holmes. I don't think that they could get Clay Holmes anyway, but I think it could be. I think it could be a trade situation. Zach Littell is still out there as well, and there's a world where Tampa doesn't want to pay him with.
So it might be. Trade,
we talk about money issues. Tampa's. How much money is Tampa going to lose next year? Like
they're going to go, and they're not going to be able to sign any free agents.
No.
Not that they
you got to feel like they're going to lose tens of millions of dollars with their stadium situation. So, Yandy Diaz and Zach Littell, let's get those 2 guys in Cleveland blue.
Yeah. All right. Let's quickly talk pitching prospects from 2024 before we get out of here. So we know that Doug Nikhazy is on the 40-man roster. Ryan Webb is not. Both those guys had good developmental years for different reasons. Obviously, they felt more comfortable in Doug Nikhazy adding a couple of miles an hour to the fastball and changing his mechanics. Ryan Webb, the fastball metrics clearly were not adding up, and he also has durability concern issues. He's also 25. So I don't know there. I wouldn't be surprised if Webb goes in the draft. We'll see in the Rule 5. Daniel Espino didn't pitch again this year, and I'm just basing this off the comment James Harris made to me, and when we talked, saying that Daniel's working hard to get healthy, to be as healthy as he can be, and we want him to be healthy. It didn't really inspire a lot of confidence in where things are going with him. Like it said nothing. Like it just was, I couldn't take that either way. So I don't know how I feel about that. Obviously the big stories this year were everybody loved Tugboat Story, and people hate us for our Tugboat opinions because he's got less fastball than Logan Allen. I don't know. Parker Messick had a good year. He got to AA later than he should have. I still think Parker Messick's a nice 4, a nice 5, maybe, if all things go well. I think you and I are in agreement here. Our favorite pitching prospect in the system that's not a high schooler is Austin Peterson. But Austin Peterson realistically is what, a 3 if at the ceiling?
Yeah. No, I think the thing with Tugboat is, like, unfortunately, like we talked about how this team loves mediocre to poor fastballs with the Will Dion's, the Tugboats, the Webbs. And it makes sense in a vacuum. In Logan Allen, it makes sense. Why? Because this team is good at helping elevate fastballs, make them better. So I think you buy low on that pitch and try to work your magic. Unfortunately, it hasn't there. Messick is a fantastic success story as a 9th round pick who, I mean,
but also a guy we haven't seen in AAA. Like you said yesterday, you gotta see these guys at AAA.
I mean, his command and control give him an opportunity, and he has always been able to miss bats. And I'm very curious. Fastball slider when he came out of UConn, another guy who fled the Purdue baseball program to find success elsewhere. I am higher on him than I am on Messick right now, even though I think Messick might have slightly higher ceiling. I really like the floor with Peterson. He's also an extension guy, which means even though the fastball isn't the biggest, it plays up.
Yeah, and Peterson to me has a cleaner delivery, I feel like too.
Yeah.
Like even though he's 6'6", the delivery is a lot cleaner. I also feel like he's a more command. Like Messick to me feels like a control over command guy, whereas Peterson I feel like might have more command. And I like the overall pitch mix better. I mean, Messick's got that low arm slot that also helps your fastball when it doesn't go as hard. But then again, Logan Allen also had a unique arm slot too, and that's not necessarily working there too. Yeah, and the same thing with Tugboat. It's a very, very low. It's a shallow release angle. It's unique. A lot of hitters aren't used to seeing a ball released from there the way he does it, and it helps the fastball. But he tops out at 90, and I just don't know if that's going to work. Like, that's great. He had a great season, and he's a great story. But it's like you still need to see a lot more from him before you realize what it's going to look like at the major league level. Because I don't think anybody knows. I did enjoy Dylan DeLucia this year. Didn't have a great AFL campaign, but pitchers in the AFL, who knows? I want to see more out of him next year. Then there's all the high school guys. I mean, I will say I'm excited about all the high school guys. I am.
Yeah.
Oki's a lot of fun. Mobley could be fun. Obviously, there's Cameron Sullivan. I'm really excited about Rafe Schlesinger. I think Schlesinger might be a reliever, but I'm excited to see what they do with him. We won't see Aiden Major next year at all, but I'm excited about him.
There's some nice data surrounding him.
And hopefully in 2025, Jacob Zibin and Justin Campbell will actually throw pitches on a major league game that counts. Or
it's like the three wise men of hurt arms. If you add Espino to those,
yeah.
It's just
if one of those guys makes it to the majors.
Justin Campbell has never thrown a pitch for this organization, has he?
No, and I don't think Jacob Zibin has either.
Yeah. And those were huge. I mean, Campbell was a comp pick, and Zibin was the largest signing bonus I think they've given anyone outside of the top three rounds. Like the highest bonus given out outside of those top 3 rounds. Well,
you all deserve big signing bonuses for listening to us every day. We want
to thank everyone. I gave a shout out because the nice thing is YouTube actually tells us who our top 5 commenters are now. So you could go through and look at that. So I did that yesterday on the show, but we appreciate everyone who's tuning in. I love all of the people who are jumping in and telling us they are new everydayers. I'll give you a shout outs tomorrow. I apologize. Justin and I are both under the weather and I did not get my list together as planned. But we have a lot of people who are just discovering us now. So it's great that we are discoverable, and thank you for joining us. Your shout out is coming, I promise.
Yeah. All right. We'll be back tomorrow. What if Wednesday? We'll talk some stuff. We're really going to get ready for the winter meetings the rest of the week. Maybe we'll talk trades this week. If you have anything you want us to talk about for What If Wednesday, let us know. We'll get on that. And we'll talk trades on Thursday as well. We might just talk trades all week, and then we'll spend Thursday night talking about getting ready for Friday. We'll talk about getting ready for the winter meetings next week when nothing will probably happen, but we'll still talk about it because that's what we're going to do.
Oh, baseball.
Because we're here fully 5 days a week, although we're down to 3 after the winter meetings. But for now, we're with you 5 days a week. So stick with us. We're sticking with you.
Oh, baseball.
Baseball in the middle of
your spurts up and down.
If you're living in Lake County and East in Ohio, baseball is one of those. I don't live on the east side anymore, thankfully, so I missed it. But if you're living on the east side, a little bit of baseball makes you feel a little bit warmer during lake effect snow. At least it does for me.
Well, I don't know if I want to avoid the snow or not. I could go for a snow day right now, but thank you all for joining us, rating and reviewing, doing your part, downloading daily, hitting that thumbs up, comment, question for the day, favorite Christmas movie. We'll go favorites today. We'll go through a lot of Christmas stuff, but thank you all again, and go Guardians go.